So tonight, our guest on the fireside chat is Mrs. Charlene Pedro. And Mrs. Pedro is joining us from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ah,
She is a corporate trainer, personal development trainer and coach, HR consultant, inspirational speaker, and writer. She offers over 28 years experience in human resource management and is the founder of Convectus Consult Inc., where she helps CEOs and managers to solve their people and performance problems by upgrading their leadership skills, employee development efforts, and performance management systems. Mrs. Pedro is also the founder of Conversations Over Coffee with Charlene Pedro, a successful series of training programs that informs, engage, and inspires CEOs and managers to make positive impact in their workplace. In 2020, she founded Mastery of Me, an online program that helps professional women achieve their goals, pursue that thing that sets their soul on fire, and live deeper, meaningful lives. Charlene has a trained trainer certificate in the author from the Author Lockjack Graduate School of Business and read for her Bachelor of Science degree in Management with a minor in sociology at the University of the West Indies and her postgraduate diploma in business administration and Master of Business Administration from the Edinburgh Business School, Heriot-Watt University in Scotland. She also has a certificate in mediation skills from the Williams Mitchell College of Law in Minnesota, USA. And Charlene is the past president of the Association of Female Executives of Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, I'm about to bring my guests to the spotlight. Mrs. Charlene Pedro, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for coming to share with us tonight on the fireside chat.
thank you so much, Janice. Could we start with a woo-wee? I am so excited and happy to be here. I have my little thingy, my tribe who are here, who are supporting me. Simone, I saw Abigail, and I saw Giselle from Mastery of Me. So they know that I always walk with this. Yeah. So this is how we celebrate. So I'm really in a celebratory mood this evening, particularly on today, International Women's Day.
Absolutely. Yes. And so I just want to pause again to say happy Women's Day to all the women in here. It is actually no secret that we are strong, we are courageous, we are resilient, we are influential, and we are beautiful. And so I trust that you all had a wonderful day and it's not yet over. So you can still enjoy the rest of your evening. But I want to go straight into the program right now. And when I read your bio, Mrs. Pedro, you have such a really impressive bio. And so there's so much we're going to have to talk about tonight, but our program will last for the next 30 or so minutes because I want to be able to leave enough time at the end of the program so the audience can ask questions of the guests. Absolutely. So my first question to you, because as I read, I have quite a bit of questions. What was the one thing that caused you to choose people development? Because I see that you were in the field of HR first. What was that one thing that made you choose people development?
Well, let's say that people development chose me. Yeah. That one thing that guided me along this path of people development was being terminated. Yeah. So if when imagine yourself, you're head of HR, nice job, fantastic team and company, and your CEO calls you into his office and he says, "I want you to advertise this job internally for me." And I said, "Sure, fine, no problem." And then you look at the job and you realize that it's your job. what would be your response? So that is what happened to me. I was asked to advertise my job while I still sat in the seat. And, I complied. I was seeking advice, IR advice from the professionals. What should I do in this situation? I worked in a organization that reported to the government. And the advice was, well, you should apply for the position. So here I was sitting in the seat and I applied for my own job. So I went to the interview and I was found not suitable for this new role. And I was hanging on a thread for numerous months, wondering what was happening. But eventually I knew what was happening. Like I tell people, the writing was on the wall, it was on the carpet, it was down the corridor, the writing was all over the place. And I distinctly remember going on vacation, and while I was on vacation, someone was sitting in my seat. So I told myself, when I get back to the country, I know that I have no job. So you can imagine my surprise coming to work the first day from vacation and realize my office is still empty. So I continued, like the work just disappeared. I had no passion for what I had to do, and it seems like there was no work to do. And I sat in that seat from end of August till November. And I remember my chairman calling me to a meeting. And I went to the boardroom. He said he was not ready. I said, well, I'll be inquired, and I heard he left the building. And for me, I said, how rude. You call a meeting, you have not canceled the meeting. And I remember sending the message to the secretary that I know what's happening. And I want to say here, and for me, I believe in building relationship. To me, that's the people support you no matter what you do or whatever the situation is. So here I was sitting at my desk, and someone will come to me and said, they're doing a letter for X, Y, and Z. Someone in accounts will come to me and they sent for this information. My HR officer will come to me and say, they inquire about your vacation. Now, when you're in HR and anybody inquiring about your vacation, they're looking to calculate the value of your vacation. Yeah. So it was the most, and looking back, the thing about it is that I went through, that period of my life as normal. I came to work, yes, I was busy looking for a job, signing up at so many agencies. My head was really just spinning. I was so tired and confused. And, after a while, I just pressed pause. And I look at my whiteboard, and what I wrote on my whiteboard for a while now, I wrote, no weapon formed before me shall prosper. And that was on my whiteboard, nothing else.
Amen.
And no one was allowed to erase that.
Amen.
And at some point in time, after all that mental anguish, now I understand it was mental anguish, because I always feel I'm this strong woman handling her stories. And at some point in time, I just pressed pause, or should I say, the Lord pressed pause. And I truly and deeply let go and let God. I could not have done anything else. I just let go and let God. And I realized from then things started to fall into place. I went to my CEO and I said, and I got strength too. I went to my CEO and I said, I know what's happening here. It's dragging on for too long. And I used these words, let's get it on. Remember Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. I used these words, let's get it on. And I got so bold. I told my CEO that if you don't bring this to a close before staff meeting on Friday, I will have to raise the matter in staff meeting. Well, of course, everything, fast tracked, and we had our meeting on the Thursday before the staff meeting. And in that meeting with members of the board, that was my last meeting. That was my last time in that building. and with members of the board. And I remember sitting there and, telling me that, well, this is it. You haven't met the requirements. And if I could tell you that I could not find my voice, I was trying to speak, but I couldn't speak. I was like a frog truly croaking, very, very soft, and nothing was coming out. But I continued speaking, although I was not hearing myself. And the more I spoke, the louder I got until I was able to hear myself once again. And I realized it was really fear. It was, really fear that I've never felt before. And I was able to speak and tell the panel in the room that I hold no animosity against anybody at this table, as I've had a good I got up. I remember turning my heels and I walked out that door, my head up and my shoulders square. And that as I left and everybody came in my office crying, how could they do this to you, Charlene? And I said, I was happy to leave. I said, my heart is no longer here. My values are not aligned with what's happening in the organization. So I was happy to leave. And as I left on that Thursday, and as I was leaving the building, somebody said, Charlene, I have a client who's looking for HR consultant. And I said, well, I don't have anything to do. So yeah. So they called the client. We scheduled for the Tuesday. That was my first meeting with that client. And the client remains with me up to now. And so from that, I evolved from just being HR consultancy to now supporting women with my Master of Me program, which actually was founded last year in the midst of COVID. So I know I've shared a lot there, so I'll just pause here.
You
I'll
know,
press pause here also.
I am listening to you, and I'm wondering if you have started writing a book, because that needs to be something that others need to learn from. Let me just pause to say, if you have joined the room since we started, we are talking with Mrs. Charlene Pedro, who is joining us from out of the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. We are talking with another influential woman, and our topic tonight is stand in your power. Stand in your power. And this is definitely standing in your power. I wrote down the little note here that says, when one door is closed, another is opened. When one door is closed, another is open. Your story could give so many persons hope, Mrs. Pedro. Persons who have been partially thrown out, felt that they have been used. So we want to go a little bit more into these questions tonight, because this is really, really very interesting. So you decided that you were just going to press a pause, and you were going to pivot, and you were going to pick yourself up. Now that you have pivoted into what I call people building, because when you are pouring into the life of people, you're actually building people, and you are empowering others to stand in their power. Talk to us about the real essence of standing in your power. How did you get to that, standing in your
Yeah.
power?
It's understanding first, being self-aware. You can't tap into your power if you don't know who you are. You can't tap into your power if you don't know what your values are. What are you standing for? So I always say that there's no personal growth, there's no self-growth without self-awareness. If you want to get from point A to point B, we know you must know where point A is. And that point A is self-awareness. And we are so busy with life. We get busy with our jobs, we get busy with home, we get busy with the garden, and we don't pause to find out who we are. What are our values? Are we living a life aligned with our values? If we're not, we will find we're having an internal tug of war. That's what was happening to me at my job. Things changed. Decisions were, unethical decisions, and I was no longer comfortable there. So the Lord felt it was time to kick me out. Yeah. So if we want to stand in our power, we must understand and know what our values are so it can guide us and we can use it for decision making. For me, standing in my power is also having faith. It's understanding where I draw my power from. Where is that well that I dip in? It's not just from me. So I say I walk in faith because I could tell you when I before I got my first client, I didn't know what I was doing next. Remember, I still had a family, married. My husband is a teacher executive. I had two children. But the funny thing was I was not worried. I was happy to leave. I was not worried. And I said, one day at a time, sweet Jesus, one foot in front of the other, and wherever you lead me, can't see round the corner, can't see up the staircase, but I am walking in faith. So to stand in your power is understanding yourself, understanding your values, understanding that there's something bigger than you that's going to take care of you. I always tell people, my God got my back, and He never failed me yet. So all that is the essence of our power. And then we delve into find out really what is our gift that we can offer the world. What is that gift that can make a positive impact on people around us? And that gift doesn't have to be anything grand. We think about grand things when we think about gifts. But your gift really given to you that only you can do it that way because of your uniqueness. I so believe that when we were all born, when we were formed, that we've all been blessed. I have this little stick here. Where's my magic wand that I use in my session? And we've all been blessed and get the pixie dust so that we all have a touch of magic within us that only you could do it that way. Because when you bring your whole self and all your experiences and all the little uniqueness of yourself, there is no competition. Nobody does it like you. So when we understand our gifts, we can stand in our power. But it's to take the time to go through the process of your values, of stepping in faith and understanding and knowing your gift.
That is indeed powerful. I'm gonna
So
have to
I'll
repeat.
pause for a drink here.
I'm gonna have to repeat some of this. When you understand your gift, you can truly stand in your power. When you know that uniqueness, you can truly stand in your power. That is what standing in your power means. When you know who you are, when you have that awareness of self. Thank you so much for explaining that so clearly. So I do believe that, and let me say, I have seen some comments start to come into the chat. Go ahead and use up the chat. Use up the chat. Put your comments, put your questions, whatever you have, go ahead, because in the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to be taking comments, taking questions from the audience. We are going to be making sure that we come away today with the with the knowledge and the understanding of what it really is to stand in your power. As this influential woman is sharing her story, Mrs. Charlene Pedro, thank you so much for that. So my next question is, someone may be sitting in the audience and the person is hearing everything you're saying. You're saying understanding your gift, know your own uniqueness, but they might be saying, where do I really start? Where do I really start? How would you advise them?
You know, start with what you are trying to achieve and start with your why. Yeah. What we call in Mastery of Me, we do our fifth why, and we have some tribeswomen here, as I called, heal them out previously. We start with our fifth why because many times we want to achieve something, a goal, whatever it may be, and sometimes it may not be for the right reason. Sometimes we don't even know why. And that question, why, we usually respond in a superficial manner. Yeah, a superficial manner. But I'm talking about the deeper why, so that when you keep asking yourself why you want to do something and you get that answer, you ask yourself why again, and you keep asking why until you get down to your core. You actually feel it. I mean, when you do this session, you know, sometimes people are moved to tears when they actually find out what is their core why, their fifth why. And when you find that why, that is what could move you forward to achieve your goal. If you want to make a change in your life, anything you want to do, you must stand on your why before you stand in the how you're going to do it. So I'll always say start with your why, and all of that is part, one element of self awareness. You start with your why, you look at your values, so that you could really do the foundation before you start to make a change, that change you want in your life.
So I'm hearing you saying to these women, the how is secondary. You have to first know your why. That's the primary part of it. So I'm hoping everyone is taking notes here tonight, because if you don't know your why, make sure when you leave here tonight, you know exactly what your why is, why you want to do what you do. But
Let
let
me
me,
just give an example, Janice,
sure,
quickly. So I
absolutely.
was chatting with someone recently, actually last week, and somebody I was coaching, and they wanted to shift jobs because they wanted to, you know, get in a different field, HR. And I kept asking why. And when we delved into it, it was really because there was no peace of mind in the job she was in. So she thought she wanted to shift it specifically in HR or switch jobs, but what she really wanted was peace of mind. What she really wanted was to feel good about herself and not be in a toxic environment. Yeah. And that was her why, claiming back her power, feeling good about herself and what she could contribute to her workplace, what she could contribute to this world. So it wasn't so much about switching jobs, it was more about claiming back her power and feeling good about herself, that she has value. Yeah, so that's just an example of how we can do our fifth why.
That is indeed powerful, because sometimes we see persons and we think it's all about the money. But this
And,
this
and, and, and it's not.
this one had nothing to do with the money.
Yeah.
So I want to go just a little bit deeper into that one. So I want to know, how does the person know that they're actually standing in their power? How do they know when they're truly standing in their power?
You know, you feel it in your core. You truly feel it in your core. You know, we have this exercise we do in mastery. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, and what do you see? When you stand in your power and you look in that mirror, you see somebody powerful. You see somebody as a beautiful child of God. You see someone with potential to be tapped into. You see the possibilities. So it's something deep within that you feel it and you can express it. That's standing in your power. You will know it when you stand in it.
I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. We lost you just a minute ago.
Yes, I realize we have a little gap.
Yeah, let's go ahead and say that again for the record, because I think we break up. We weren't hearing the voice.
Okay, surely. As I shared, we do an exercise, and what do you see? And then they will come back and share. When you stand in your power, when you look in that mirror, you see a powerful being. You see a beautiful child of God that has so much untapped potential. So when you stand in your power, you feel it in your core, you know it. Nobody can tell you, but you will know it. That's the standing in your power. And that power, no one can take away from you. No termination, no loss of job, no loss of husband or wife. No one can take that power away from you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. So I think we have so carefully covered how a woman can truly stand in their power. Um, I'm going to move away from that because I want to hear a little bit about your Mastery of Me program and all of those things that you do. But so what are some of the possibilities that you would say that is available to somebody who is truly standing in their power? What are some of the possibilities that are out there? Because I want women, today is Women International Day, and not just women, but I want persons to know that it doesn't matter what happens, you can stand in your power. There is much that will be available to you if you do that.
Yes, and we have to be careful not to be distracted by the external. There are
Mhm.
times we need to put blinders. We have to be careful that we are, and I say distraction. So we may be distracted because we are not in the best work environment. It might even be a toxic work environment, but that doesn't define you. That doesn't define your power. Actually, it can't even take away your power. We may be distracted because we are comparing our journey with somebody else, and we feel we are behind. But I want to share that we are never behind because your journey is your journey. Your experience is your experience, your authentic experience. So you have to claim that. You are never, ever behind. So your timing is yours. You get to control and to decide on your purpose, your path, and your pace. That's one saying we have in Mastery of Me. And in terms of your possibility, it is endless, it is limitless. Your only limit is really your imagination. And it always starts within. Before we go to the external, we work on the internal. And when we feel that stand in the power, now we are empowered, we feel strong, we feel confident. And let me just touch on that confidence. You know, it's a mistake to wait to be confident to do your do. We build confidence by doing. So to wait to be confident and then do whatever it is, go back to school, change your job, start your business, probably I don't use the word side hustle and I don't use the word side either. We got to give it more respect. So to start your business while you work, whatever you want to do, volunteer, travel the world, whatever it is that you want to do, that confidence you're waiting for to speak in front of audience, to be a speaker, that confidence only comes by doing. It's in the doing that we build the confidence. So we do first and then we become confident. It's like a muscle. It's in building the muscle that we become confident. And I tell people, we grow our wings as we fly. Don't wait for the wings. We grow our wings as we fly.
That is huge. Thank you so much for really going in depth with explaining those possibilities of standing in your power. And let me move on a little bit because I know we're coming up to time. But Mastery of Me, I really love that name. That's such a beautiful name. It speaks volumes. So I want you to talk to us a little bit about what is Mastery of Me. I have never sat in any of your sessions before, but just the name brings out so much. Talk to us a little bit about what this is about, what exactly you do, and
Yes.
who is it geared towards. Mastery of
And
Me.
I can't even remember how I came up with the name. Mastery of Me started, as COVID started in Trinidad in March. I think most people remember the day, maybe March the 13th, I think. Um, and there was lockdown. There was this feeling of despair. You know, I myself, how Simon said in the chat, yes, it's March the 13th. We kind of know that date. So, lockdown, despair. My husband and I were watching the update from the Ministry of Health every single day at 10 a.m. People are sending WhatsApp messages about who's dying, how many being hospitalized, how many has COVID, and it's really became a dark place, a really dark, gloomy place. And I told myself, well, my husband and I first, we stopped watching the updates and television. And I told myself, Charlene, if you're feeling like this, could you imagine how your friends and other people are feeling? What can you do? It's like when you're at war and everybody come out to help, your ladies come out to knit whatever, and women come out to do whatever. And I said, Charlene, what can you do? I said, okay, so you're a trainer. So you're going to offer a free series of session for a week, and who wants to hop on could hop on. And that's what I did. So that session looked at the growth mindset. It looked at your personal branding, goal setting. So we had a different topic every evening, and I got one or two friends to hop on and facilitate one or two of the topics. And after we finished that session, I remember being in my porch and carrying my laptop outside for a little change in scenery. And after I finished that session, one of the ladies reached out to me and said, Charlie, I put my money aside. I want to work with you and continue working on my goals. And then somebody else reached out to me on Facebook, and somebody else reached out to me. And I said, okay, Charlene, hold up. You need to design a program to support these women. And that I did. I just, read from what we did in that 1 week and what those who reached out to me wanted. And I designed a program. And that program, can't remember the first name of Mastery of Me, but that ran for 6 months. And I, based on feedback, and I myself wanted to collapse it a bit. So it collapsed into 12 weeks. And what we have now is the Mastery of Me program. That is a 12-week program that looks at the 4 pillars of self-leadership. So it's a self-leadership mastermind and masterclass. So it's a mixture. So you get some training in your masterclass. You do your self-discovery, you self-awareness, which is in self-discovery, self-management, and self-growth. So there are 4 pillars we look at. And we have some actual classes, and everything is online. So we have some classes, and then we have some mastermind. The key thing is that you set your goal, whatever it may be, and you work towards that goal. It may be a long-term goal, and you have a milestone that you can achieve within that 12 weeks. And we support each other. We have accountability circles. So besides the session, they meet among themselves to keep each other on track and to keep uplifting each other. And I want to say that that has evolved and spin off into a movement. From the first session, there was some tribeswomen, and they came up with the name. So it's really driven by the tribeswomen. So the tribeswomen, as they call themselves, there were some from the first session that said, I don't want this to end. I don't want this to end. So we continue, different cohorts have their WhatsApp chat, and they continue supporting each other even after they graduate. I mean, 2 years after, they're still supporting each other. And the strangest thing about this program is that everybody who came to the program and is in the program now, because we do have a cohort in session now, they have 2 weeks to go. Everybody in that program is a believer. So when somebody hopped on a WhatsApp and people message, I need some prayers. And I tell you, they're going to get it right there in that WhatsApp. They're going to get it. Somebody's going to send a voice note. Somebody's going to, text some prayers. So whatever is needed to support and uplift each other. Somebody's son is in Trinidad while they live in Barbados and couldn't get transportation to get to the grocery, I think it was, the supermarket, and somebody hop in and say, I can fill in. I think the transport is on strike. Somebody hop in and say, okay, I can help. I can take him to the grocery. And this has been a mind-blowing experience for me and everybody else as to how we can support women, women truly supporting, uplifting, and loving each other. So, it's such a special place. And I'm so proud of each and every one of my tribeswomen. And we do have about 3 online here. Support again. Yeah, I'll never be alone. That I know.
That is indeed powerful, because out of what you thought was an adverse circumstance, you now have this gem, Mastery of Me. I know there are some persons who came into the room after we started, long after we started, but we are talking with Mrs. Charlene Pedro. She is from out of Trinidad and Tobago, the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. And she is one of those influential women who is making great strides. And we're talking about stand in your power. And so as we go down to the final 2 questions before we open the floor for persons to ask questions, make their comments. I listened that you talk about mastery of me and the different things that you do. But what are like two learning points that every person can take away from this session? What are two things? If I come to this session, talk about two things that we can take away from this session.
Yeah. What I've noticed for individuals who come to the session, there's a jump in self-confidence, self-awareness, and confidence. Yeah. So sometimes people come to the session and they don't have a tangible goal like to, I don't know, change jobs or to start a business, but they may just want to develop themselves. But what I've noticed with everybody, regardless of the goal, one thing you'll walk away with, you'll be walking on cloud nine. You will feel so good because after you go through the process, when we spoke about standing with your power, doing your values, doing your fifth why, so they do all that. So they're surely standing in their power after the session. You know, who was not confident to do certain things for their business, so they would never have done it if it wasn't for the program. So that's one thing you're guaranteed. The things that you didn't think was possible before you started, you now know it is possible. And the next thing you will you wouldn't walk away with, you will remain with, is a sisterhood and a tribe that will be with you forever and ever and ever. Amen. So those are two powerful things. And you know, we do need a tribe. We need support. I remember a long, long time when I was called to speak on a panel at Arthur Jack Graduate School. You know, they called me to speak, and I thought probably, you know, they didn't get somebody else and they got me last minute. And because I was like, why little old me? They had, you know, the CEO of an asset company, they had chairman of Digicel, and then they had a guest speaker from the US, and then they had Charlotte.
Having a little bit of technical difficulty right there. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty right there.
And when I popped in a group from one thing, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, great. And in that group, one person just text in the group, you have worked hard, you deserve it. You are enough. And that did it for me. I threw all the, you know, why they called you, and I threw all of that through the window, and I got dressed that day and stood in my power that day, you know, and got fantastic feedback. So we do need a tribe at times. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I made a note of the confidence and the power to stand. Those are the two things I made a note of right here. And confidence is something that you develop over time. You don't wake up tomorrow morning and you just have confidence. It's something that is developed over time. Thank you so much, Mrs. Pedro, for that. And someone may be listening to you. They may be from the United States. They may be from Jamaica. They may be from Canada. They may be from your own country, Trinidad and Tobago. And they're saying, how can I join this tribe? Because this sounds like a tribe I need to become a part of. How can persons really contact you? How can they have a session with you? How do people get in touch with you?
Well, there are a few ways you could contact me. You could visit my webpage, charlenepetro.com, or you could just message me on LinkedIn. I'm there almost every day. I mean, Janice, that's how we met online. This is our first face-to-face, actually, and I somehow feel as if I know you already. So if you are on LinkedIn, you can simply reach out to me via message, tell me you were here, and we can always hop on a call. Yeah. And if you need to, you can give me a ring. I have my number on my LinkedIn page that you could always, you know, message me. I'm open to connecting. I'm open to supporting because I've reached this journey, and I can tell you, Janice, at one point in time, I was not listening to God.
Mhm.
I did an online session with some woman, and I stopped, and that was years ago. And now, since COVID has started, I've learned to be obedient. So I know now that this is my vocation. It is not a job. It is not something I do. This is my vocation. So I'm here to support women so that they can achieve what they felt was impossible, and also that they can tap into that potential and, as we said, stand in their power. We are so powerful. You know, you know more than you think. I've discovered that. I mean, who knew people would pay me to train, right? You know more than you think. And it's to appreciate our talents, our skills, and our gifts. When we have that appreciation, then we can truly stand in our power. We can live that life that we desire and that we deserve.
What a better way to open the floor to get some questions, because Mrs. Pedro had truly shared about how we can stand in our power. The story that she shared about her own life, that is something literally incredible. And I'm sure there are some questions for her. There are some comments. There are some persons who want to talk to her some more. So I'm going to open the floor